Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 4 vs 4 on Bois de Limors, and in this one I'm going to be playing with the 1st SSB. I'm joined today by Jagdsource, Denkraft and Mountain High on my team, who are playing the 101st Airborne and 4th Armoured Divisions. And then on the Axis side, we have Lau, Braxman, Ciara and Sora, who are playing the 3rd Fallschirmjäger, 2nd Panzer, 21st Panzer and 17th SS Panzer Grenadiers. So, an interesting set of divisions for sure. 2 4th Armoured, obviously going to be taking the left side, but today I wanted to sort of go into this game as a little bit of a break from the competitive cast that I've been doing recently. I know a lot of you guys like watching me play as much as you love watching the competitive cast, so I just thought I'd mix it up a bit before we move on to the casts of the 4th Asia Pacific tournament, which is really interesting because you can only use one division. So all of the players in that tournament, they can only use one division throughout the entire thing. And so we're going to see some very interesting matchups indeed. I'm really excited to start casting those. But before I do, I'm going to be focusing on this game, which was taken from my stream. I played it on there, and it was a very good one. And it showed off some of the strengths and weaknesses of the 1st SSB. And I don't think it's, well, I think it's a division I haven't really played in a long time. So I really wanted to try and show it off and maybe encourage some of the competitive players to pick it up, because I honestly think that its Phase A is absolutely insane. It's really, really good. You get 100 points per minute. You have M4DDs, you have 2-star Humber Mark 3s, and you also have the Wildcats, which reload really quickly. So you have a lot of things to take care of whatever you come up against, and I feel like they could be an incredibly strong division. Now they falter quite heavily in Phase B, but I have it set up so that I have the ability to bring in 5 Shermans in Phase B in order to account for not having any more AT availability. But one thing you can do with the SSB in general is just try not to rely on AT at all and try and rely mostly on the M4s, because against a lot of German divisions I find that they don't really have the AT to deal with M4s efficiently. So that's something that you could really take advantage of with this division. Now let's have a look at some of the troops I've got going down here. I'm going to be taking the left side forest. I didn't want the right side. Jagdsource asked me if I did, but I decided not to. And that's mainly because the SSB, I feel, works better in the open compared to the 101st Airborne. And just like M4DDs in general, are just really good for helping you push across the open. So I want to try and take advantage of that wherever I can. So let's have a look at some of the units. We've got the Commando Tank Busters, of course. Those things, they can hit stuff eventually, but yeah, 2 Piats definitely helps. Then we've got probably Commando Assaults mixed with Commando Fusiliers in here. I've got some Commandos, Commando Leaders as well. Then I've got 2 of those 2-star Humber Mark 3s with Recon, and also 2 of the 2-star mortars, the 3-inch mortars. And you can see the veterancy on all of these units is just incredibly high. And that's really something that you can take advantage of early on. Now this troop here somehow managed to get away with not getting an order, so I moved that a little bit later after. I think it gets pinged by one of my teammates, but a little bit of a mistake there at the start, but not going to be too consequential. Denkraft coming in with an F5A Recon Lightning, does manage to snipe a Schwimmwagen with his B-26B Marauder, so Denkraft going very heavy on the Air Force early on. That is a 90-point recon aircraft accompanied by a 130-point B-26B. So he's very light on the ground, but Ciara will hopefully not push into that too hard. I was a little bit worried about this on my left side. That could easily cause this flank to just collapse. You can see how limited the forces are here. Anyway, my troops are getting into position. Commando Assaults accompanied by Commando Leaders. And then I have the Humber Mark 3s moving up as well. And those are now 3-star in the Command Leader radius. So they're going to absolutely rip to shreds infantry units. That is 16 HE with 3-star veterancy. you can see what I'm getting at. These commando assaults also absolutely fantastic. They have 18 HE, and they also have these grenades. Now if you accompany them with smoke, like from these 3-inch mortars for example, then they can really do well. But you have to almost always provide your smoke with this division through your mortars as opposed to your infantry, because your infantry is just loaded with TNT. There is of course smoke on the recon squads, but ideally you don't really want to have a recon squad hanging around with your mainline infantry engaging with other infantry, because you want to keep your recon spotting other units. Now there are of course the 4-man recon squads that are actually really good because they have the Lanchesters, which have really high HE compared to other scout infantry squads. But unfortunately they're not very cost efficient at the start. And my commando assaults here, they are going to be forced to fall back due to the Nebelwerfer, but you can see how quickly my commando assault there melts the Stosstroop. Look at this. And these Stosstroop, they're not bad. They've got 16 HE as well, or 18 HE I think as well. But the thing is with the commando assaults is just that their veterancy, and also in this case I think Sora had them on the move, and for those of you who don't know, infantry on the move is actually a lot less accurate than it is when it stood still. So I had an attack move order, and Sora in that case had a move order. So my infantry won because they weren't moving, and therefore easily killed those men very quickly. So bringing up some more infantry now, they're just going to be pushing all the way through, obviously identifying that I've killed 2 Stosstroop here, and I think 1 in this area. I just decided to push through with this infantry because there's not going to be much infantry left in the way. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I can definitely push a salient early on. Sora will be trying to reinforce themselves with more infantry, so that's what we're going to be looking at here. So that's why I unload the Commando Fusilier Marines early. Also, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself as well, because I'm lacking AT with my infantry. I do have Humber Mark 3s, but this is exactly why I have a Sherman 2 on the way. So that Sherman 2 is basically my AT. But I found that that gap in the front line early on, and I tried to push through it quite hard with my Commando Assaults and Commando Fusilier Marines. I know there's probably infantry either side, so yeah, I don't want to get too ahead of myself and get cut off. But here on this left side, Ciara's going to take down that B-26B. Nice job by Ciara there to get that job done, and definitely get rid of that annoying unit. Either way, yeah, my mortars haven't even fired a shot yet, as you can see. They're struggling to get into position. I'm just trying to move them up into range to provide smoke and fire support, but haven't needed to yet, quite simply because the Commando Assaults just deleted those Stosstroop straight away. We've got a couple of Willys MMGs here as well, and it's important to keep these out of range of the Panzer Grenadiers machine guns. But again, look at those Stosstroop just die. Didn't take a single point of damage there on my Commando Assaults. It's just nuts. But either way, yeah, Willys MMGs, back to what I was saying, these have 600 meter range. Panzergrams with their MG42s have 400 meter range. So you can keep these at over 400 meter range, and they'll be very effective actually for providing cover to your troops, especially with the relatively high veterancy. But as you can see here, as soon as Panzerguns get on target, they definitely have the chance of killing Willys MMGs, so I'm going to just try and avoid that engagement as best as I can. The Humber Mark 3 is moving over here. I'm going to not let it go in front of the Pak 41 Gerlich though. I'm going to move the Commando Fusilier Marines over there to try and take care of that. Meanwhile, in the mid here, I'm getting my Willys MMGs ready to take on this Panzergren as I try and push across the open. Now originally I was being quite conservative on this left side, but I decided to just push across because I noticed that Sora wasn't contesting it there. Nebelwerfer has come in, and that's going to be smashing the AT gun. Now one thing that this will tell you, especially like Nebelwerfers in general, like you can see my mortars trying to counter battery that straight away, but Nebelwerfers are very telling, because if you see a Nebelwerfer, right, and it fires at the start of the game, and then you see it fire again, that means that obviously the opponent has bought a 50-point Opel Bits munition truck, right? So that is 110 points invested in that artillery, which is why I'm being so aggressive on the ground here because I know that there isn't going to be too much against me. Now this Willys MMG really gets itself in a sticky situation there. Does get hit very hard by the machine guns of the Panzergrenadiers, but I'm going to be trying to you know, deal some damage back with the Humber Mark III. You can see I took out 6 men from that Panzergrenadier squad in no time at all. Absolutely nuts. These Commando Fusilier Marines, I'm going to have to be a little bit careful with those. They were standing in the face of some command infantry there, but my mortar now going to be engaging the infantry in the centre, try and pin down those Panzergrenadiers. And I did lose another unit, another Willys MMG here to these Panzergrenadiers previously. But pinning them down there does open up the mid, and I've got the recon now, or the reinforcements, sorry, coming in to try and take advantage of that. So we're making some decent ground at the moment. On this right side, my Sherman 2 has found shots onto this L6. On this right side, Jagdsource is up against the 3rd Fallschirmjäger. So just moving my Sherman 2 over there to help take that out and finish it off. But I think Jagdsource's M22 ended up getting the kill. So Humber Mark III, that's just going to cover my infantry as I cross in the open. Again, this being the 17th SS, more things that you can take from this are that the Panzergrenadiers don't have Panzerfausts, so I can be extremely aggressive with these Humber Mark IIIs, especially knowing that I've already killed Stosstroop. Now, on the stream, I probably wasn't saying this, but this is always things that should be going through your mind, and definitely allows you to play aggressive into certain divisions if you know what you're up against. So really taking advantage of that at the moment. That's why Sora's being pushed back quite hard at the moment. Now the IG-18s being brought in is actually a really nice choice from Sora, especially across these more open areas, because they can force back the Humber Mark IIIs, and they can also do quite a lot of damage to my infantry. Now here my Commando Assaults get a bit ahead of themselves, get mown down by the machine guns of the Panzergrenadiers, but you can see my Commando Fusilier Marines coming over and trying to do some damage. My mortars are trying to find shots onto the IG-18s, but you know, they're getting pretty low on ammunition now, so I'm going to have to be a bit conservative with where I place those shots. More tank busters on the way, and another Sherman 2 arriving. I've also got some AA now coming in, just in advance of when I start to use some Air Force. And we do see the 210mm off-map coming in from the 3rd Fallschirmjäger, I believe. It does kill off my Willys MMG there, which was unfortunate. It takes out one of Jagdsource's units. But my Centaur there is absolutely fine in the Sherman 2. Now again, Humber Mark III against IG-18. The IG-18, if that wasn't already pinned a little bit, would have been able to maybe force back my Humber Mark III. But in this case, going to be forced to fall back. Fusilier Marines, take out the Speertroop. Nice kill. Finally brought in my Commando 6 squads as well now. These guys are absolutely awesome, and I would never recommend bringing them in at the start of the game, because at the start of a game is generally when the most lethal engagements occur. So as you saw, my Commando Assaults were just going headlong into the Stosstroop, and you know, it really didn't work out too well for Sora's Stosstroop. It could have easily gone the other way and my Commando Assaults died. And if that was a Commando 6 squad, I would have just lost that early on. But these are such good squads that savouring them till later on, I think is an incredibly good idea. So in this case, that's what I tried to do. I do lose my Commando Assaults up here. Again, IG-18 coming in very handy for Sora there. Commando Fusilier Marines are engaging Fallschirmjägers at closer range, which is a good engagement for me because mine have much higher HE at close range. And on this left side, Commando Fusilier Marines take out some Stosstroop. And I'm now being assisted by Dencraft here. He's bringing in an M3A1 half-track and an M18. But he's just leaving this left side relatively undefended, which is a bit odd. But either way, I was quite happy to have the help, and it just allowed me to continue to make ground where I was already making ground. So we're starting to push up here, getting the Humber Mark III Commando 6 squads into position to just try and make a push. Obviously alongside Dencraft, he's bringing up some infantry as well, so just going to try and take full advantage of this while I can. Commanding leader is going to be moving across to accompany the Commando Fusilier Marines, but the Panzerstrike squad going to kill off that half-track before it unloads. Bit of a misplay there from Dencraft, but now my Sherman 2's found the IG-18, that's going to get rid of that.
We're commandos, so we know what to do.
So making a little bit of ground here and there. Mortars have kind of been neglected at this point. Honestly, I should have been maybe trying to provide some smoke as I covered across the open here or wherever, but yeah, I kind of just left them behind, and that's often something that I do by accident, but just trying to move them up, keep them in range, and maybe I'll use them in the future. But Commando Fusilier Marines, they're going to find and kill off that Panzerstreck unit that killed off the half-track there. It's been unfortunate. Now Dencraft's moving in quite hot with his M3A1 half-track, just driving straight up that road. No fucks were given this day. He's just going at it. It's just amusing because you should always have infantry ahead of your vehicles if you can, so that you can spot things like Panzerstrecks. But yeah, in this case, Dencraft just using the M3A1 as bait. That engagement between my Commando Fusilier Marines and the Panzergrenadiers is just really bad. I shouldn't be letting that happen. MG42s at that range just are absolute king compared to the Bren guns. So ME109, G0 are going to be strafing some ground targets over here. My Commando Fusilier Marines up here are trying to hold back Vulcan Pioneers, but Vulcan Pioneers unfortunately have the grenades that absolutely annihilate those squads, so I'm under pressure up here. But knowing that obviously Vulcan Pioneers don't have AT, I can take advantage of the Centaurs here. And this Willys MMG was trying to surrender the Vulcan Pioneer that was pinned down. But yeah, the plane saving the day there. Dingo is on the way to accompany some of these vehicles, give them the extra veterancy I need. We've got commando supports at close range against SOS Troop. Really bad engagement for me. Really bad engagement. But again here, SOS Troop just on a move command instead of an attack move command. And my Fusilier Marines won that engagement when ideally they should have taken a bit more damage. Commando supports there really got caught out in a bad position. Commando supports are absolutely awful at close range. They have really low HE, but at longer ranges they can pin down squads very easily. So yeah, them just getting caught out there was not ideal. Over here, Commando Assault's going to be getting the nade onto the Pioneers again. These are just move commands and not attack moves. Pretty sure. Yeah, it's just move commands. And therefore Sora's getting caught out there once again, and going to lose quite a lot of units because of that. So 2 Pioneer squads should easily be able to deal with a Commando Assault, or at least trade 1 for 1 because I've got the grenades. But in this case, my Commando Assault being absolute king and taking all of those men out very quickly and efficiently indeed. So I've brought up some Commando Royal Marines. These are basically OP Commando Fusilier Marines in the fact that they have a Piat alongside their great HE at close range. But my Royal Marine is going to be forced to fall back. My Commando Fusilier Marines on this side eventually get taken out by, I think it was Pioneers. But the Centaur now being forced back by, I think that was a Stug coming down that road. And, well, these Commando Royal Marines are just in a really bad position right now. But with the assistance of Ciara now coming in, my infantry isn't doing particularly well. However, I am going to be looking for a kill onto the U-304 here. We get an internal fragment, driver knocked out, only a matter of time until that vehicle dies. There we go, finally goes down. Now my Centaur here is still great for dealing with the Pioneers, but I really need to take care of the tank that's there as well. So the Sherman 2 is going to be pushing quite relentlessly up this road to try and get an engagement at close range, because the Sherman 2 potentially can out-aim a Stug if it's not facing the right direction. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. The Nebelwerfer are going to be trying to counter battery. The M21 does hit my Commando 6 here. And actually I think this was a Vielfachwerfer. Yeah, I think it was a Vielfachwerfer. Yeah, from Ciara. It really confused me at the time as well, because obviously you're playing against the 17th SS, and then somebody from the 21st Panzer comes in with the Vielfachwerfer, and you're like, oh god, there's a Nebelwerfer coming in, but it's not actually doing that much damage. And then it just fires forever, and then you're like, oh, maybe it's a Vielfachwerfer. So I'm going to be trying to stop that from firing by just mortaring it, or just make it less accurate so it doesn't really hit the mark. But in this case it does manage to force back my duck, and it's actually really badly hitting my infantry as it comes in. So yeah, just trying to counter battery that. Royal Marines on the right side get surrendered because I'm lacking command on this side, which was my bad, but yeah, still looking for that engagement. Commando leaders take out some Pioneers there quite nicely. Dencraft is pushing forwards quite aggressively with his Hellcat and the M3A1 half track. Now using the Pioneers to try and take out the Hellcat's a decent idea because the damage from the HE can do the damage to a Hellcat enough to kill it. So there is that. You can see there the VulcanHDGaming did end up taking an internal fragment, so that's not going to be firing for a little while, but my commando leader on this left side does go down. On the right side, of course, all these Pioneer squads are really starting to do a dent to my infantry capabilities, and yeah, it's not ideal, that's for sure. But that's just the problem that comes with going up against, especially the 3rd Fallschirmjäger in Phase B. Like, their Fallschirm Pioneers are absolutely dire to play against, and sort of also being able to bring in Pioneers, you know, they just trade so efficiently, and that's why they're such good close range engagement units. Again, Commando Fusilier Marines going down here to Pioneers. The only way you can really stop Pioneers from being effective in the first place is just to like stop them from getting into a tree line, which is easier said than done, especially when there's quite a lot of forces on my left side here. But I'm bringing a Hellcat there to try and bomb the Pioneers, but you can see I do manage to hit them with the mortar, and they start to be forced to fall back due to, you know, you can see the front line shift when you make units get pinned down. Commando Assault's going to get off its grenade just in time. That's actually going to kill off the Pioneer squad, one man on his own. Absolute hero, takes out 9 men. Great stuff. Unfortunately, does go down in the end. But yeah, there we go. Now we have some artillery coming in onto the Commando 6 squads, and I'm trying to be a little bit aggressive here with the M3A1 and the Humber Mark III, but this choke is really proving difficult for me to push through at this point. Now over on this left side, I did decide to try and bring in some units to help out. I'm not entirely sure where that's going. Why does it have an order to the top left? That's odd. But yeah, with the left sort of being under a lot of pressure, I do start helping out there eventually, especially with my Air Force later on, since when I move into Phase C, I'm going to have 160 points per minute, and basically that allows me to afford most of my Air Force, which really sort of assists with the deficit that you have on the ground at that point in the game. Because a lot of your elite infantry can die by then, and you don't really have too much in the later phases to reinforce with. So as you can probably tell, that unit on the left side just got absolutely annihilated. I have no idea why that was there. Must have accidentally called it in and it got glitched to the top left of the map. I don't know. But either way, tank busters do go down as they try and advance and ambush this Stug. I think there was something in the way. It must have been the spear troops spotted them and then the MG just wiped them out. So that happened. But now my Sherman 2 trying to take on the Panzer IV-G at close range. It's a relatively even engagement, but the Hellcat there getting involved is definitely going to change that. And now we see a lot of AA arriving on this side. M21 MMCs with the 50 cals, just 50 cals everywhere on all of the 4th Armoured vehicles, plus the Bofors that I already brought in. It works out quite well. Got my Hellcat there coming in as well, just to have a look about, but didn't really have a target, so just decided to get him out of there. Nebelwerfer once again. Sorry, doing a really good job now of just holding me back in this area and stopping us from pushing forwards efficiently. And that is a real issue, so it gets to the point where I just stop making ground, and that point is pretty much now. So there is like 19 minutes left on the map, and there's a +1. So we are winning quite convincingly at the moment in terms of the score, but with this left side, things really aren't going very well for Denkraft. But that's probably because he put a lot of forces towards my side of the forest here, and that just left him completely open to a concentrated attack from Sora and Ciara over here. P38 goes down on that far left side, and yeah, things really aren't getting much better on the left in general.
Ready, sir.
Now in order to break through here, I really just need to try and counter battery or just find a way to break the infantry in these tree lines properly before I advance. And yes, the mortars are okay for that, and you can see I am trying to keep them reloaded with the duck. But I'm now bringing in 25 pounders, and these I think are a bunch of assault pioneers that are just sort of good for trading one-on-one at close range. Now Hellcat is going to come in here and land its bombing strike onto the Luftwaffejäger. Unfortunately didn't quite hit the mark as the Luftwaffejäger had moved forwards, but sorry, I'm going to be bringing in the Focke-Wulf 190. Jagdsource on the case with the P-51 Mustang, and that is a good kill. The nice reaction there by Jagdsource was actually making really great use of these Mustangs throughout the game. Now my Sherman 5 does end up going down. Can't quite remember where that was. I think it was down this road, possibly. Maybe the Stug 4 getting that, but yeah, either way I lose one of the Sherman 2s. And now on the left side we've got Sherman 5 coming up to assist against Sierra. Dingo does go down as well. Oh yeah, they were getting picked off by an AT gun through here. Really nice placement of this Pak 43 by Sierra. Covers this road really well. Because the thing is about like T-junctions and corners in roads is that vehicles move quite slowly around them. So if you have a AT gun sort of cover that area, then you can get quite a lot of kills. In this case, the Sherman 2 was just trying to advance through here and got picked off. But I'm going to try and not let that happen again with my mortars obviously firing away onto that AT gun now. HS-129 comes in from Lao. That's going to be hitting the mortar carrier there and taking that out. Unfortunately, my Bofor is not really able to stop that from happening too much. My Bofor's on the left side has now been killed. But as I try and move forwards here with these Assault Pioneers and Commando 6 and the Humber Mark 3 and the Sherman 2, Vielfachwerfer opens up. I'm going to be trying to counter battery that as soon as possible, but then comes down off map on top of that. And yeah, not great. Ju-88S there as well with the bombs. Absolutely annihilates this push. It was insane. There was just like so many rockets. You can see like my Sherman 2 goes down. Just obliterated at this point. And honestly, that is primarily my fault. Yes, it was good of the enemy players to get those attacks in there, like with the Vielfachwerfer, with the off-map, with the bombers, like all at once, to just annihilate that push. But honestly, at this point, I probably should have stopped pushing here, like by now, because there's only so much ground. Like there's only so many times you can like hit your head against a brick wall before you start to bleed, right? So that's basically what I should have done at this point, is just kind of tried to back off. But Panzer IV-G going to get quite aggressive here into the face of my Humber Mark III, and 2-star Humber Mark III going to show what he's made of. That was a 6 armor Panzer IV-G, the ones you can get in the 21st Panzer Division, but still, seeing a Humber Mark III take out a Panzer IV is always very nice. On this bottom side, Sherman 5, just providing nice fire support, allowing Denkraft to maybe make some ground back there. But as you can see up here, a Königstiger is on the field, and that's going to make things pretty difficult from now on. We're bringing up a new AA piece just to try and cover this right side. But yeah, obviously I'm worried about our +1 falling away from us now, with a large amount of forces approaching over here. You can see like that's 2 Panthers. There's a Panther A and a Befehl Panther with the Panzer IV-H. There's also a Puma coming up, and then in the mid, of course, there's the Königstiger. So there's a lot of heavy armor there, and of course the Germans coming back strong in Phase C is something you see quite often. So got to be careful about that, especially in an open sort of area like this. Humber Mark III still going to be taking cover there. Do take a Nebelwerfer strike once again. But yeah, just going to be taking it easy on this right side from now on. Just sort of cover off the areas that need it. Bringing in like an AT gun there, for example. Just starting to entrench more than anything. Commando Tank Buster is going to be trying to take out this unit here for me, which is quite nice. Get that quick AA kill, pays themselves off quite nicely. Nebelwerfer now comes in, the Nebelwerfer 42, takes out the Bofors, takes out the Dingo. And I think it also took out the Humber. Yeah, a lot of damage being done now by these Nebelwerfers, and me not being able to secure the kills on those has been unfortunate, but that is mainly due to the fact, of course, it's being forest, and it's very hard for me to, you know, utilize recon in order to spot them all the way back here. That's why you haven't really seen much recon in general. It doesn't really help in this sort of environment. It might help more on the left, but if they pushed over here, I would see it and maybe be able to counter any vehicles with these Commando Tank Busters, because the bridge is here at the end of the day. Yes, they could push infantry across this river section, but in order to get sort of vehicles down my left flank, they would have to come across this bridge, which I've got it covered by 2 sets of tank busters. Now we can see on this left side a Marder was taken out. I think the Hellcat there managed to pick that off. I'm now going to be popping another Marder there with my Sherman 5. But amongst all this smoke is a scary old beast, and it is called a King Tiger. There he is. Oh my. Okay, over on the left side you can see the amount of armour that Braxman has. It's really been building up a lot, and that's really going to be scary moving into the later phases. Thankfully my Sherman at the moment is just hidden behind this building, but with the Rheinwerfer coming in there, that has the potential to force my Sherman 5 to fall back, and when it does, it's going to put it in a pretty sticky spot. Over on this left side, Lau's bringing in his air force. But as I've identified so many vehicles here, it's my time to help out on the flanks, and well, 3 17-pounders should do the job. Going overboard with the counter is one of the best ways to deal with all of this armour, so that's what I decided to do. And of course, having 160 points per minute at this point doesn't really make that expensive. I think those 17-pounders are 120 points per minute. But you can see the Sherman 5 there dead now, and I'm also bringing in some AA, of course, to sort of stop these Focke-Wulf 190s and Ju-88s and stuff from bombing the 17-pounders out.
Yes?
But meanwhile, we're just going to be taking it easy on this right side. You can see I even haven't unloaded a couple units because I'm focusing on this side so much. But yeah, these are 120 points a pop, and after, you know, 2 ticks of income, that's not too much to ask. Ju-88 going to be coming overhead there. This F5A can't really do anything, but is providing plenty of recon, that's for sure, against all of these armoured targets. And, you know, there is also, of course, the King Tiger on this right side. Getting a couple of dingoes here to accompany the AT guns. I noticed that Dencraft and Mountain High didn't really have any command, so I'm going to be bringing that in to accompany my 17-pounders and my AA. Hopefully I'll be able to find some kills here as this armour approaches. Now, one thing that Braxman did do quite well is just have the Panzer IVs go first. And in general, you know, not losing the Panthers is the main idea here, because as long as the Panthers are alive, they should be able to get some decent kills.
What's up, Captain?
Now, ideally I should have focused on the Panzer IV-H on this left side sooner, because here you can see that I allow my Panzer IV to be taken down to 2 health and pinned down by this Panzer IV-H, when it was just firing at one that was out of range. That was a bit of a mistake, but Thunderbolt there going to be able to bomb out a Panzer III. And now the fight for this left side really begins. Right side just kind of stays chill. Yes, I take sort of artillery here and there, but I'm now counter battering as well with my 25-pounders, just going to try and get rid of those RT pieces if I can. And now the AA is really coming into play. Ju-88 coming overhead. There's a lot of Me-109s here. I'm going to come in for a bombing strike with my Hellcat, but instead of taking that, I'm just going to bring them in to shoot down ME-109s. So I managed to find one kill there. The other one gonna get away at this point, I think. My Hellcat not able to get on target in time. So just gonna be coming in for the bombing strikes there. If I can, but instead gonna be forced back by the mobile wagons. That's fine. Getting a couple more Hellcats here, as you can see. Just going to be bringing those in. Going to be going for some bombing strikes onto this Königstiger. That's 15 HE power bombs and 25 HE power bombs. The 25 HE power bombs I don't actually drop in the end because I tried to focus on the Focke-Wulf 190. I didn't want to get my bombers shot down. But Yaxos also coming in with his own 4 25 HE power bombs as well. And going to be bombing that Königstiger. Rheinwerfer covers it with smoke, which is a good move by Sierra, but doesn't stop those bombs from landing, that's for sure. And we also see an ME-109 now get shot down. Look at the concentration of forces here, and a lot of this is starting to be, well, it's just a lot of 50 cals. Like, think of the amount of M18 Hellcats there are here, and then we have like my Bofors in there as well. So aircraft that fly overhead definitely going to do a lot of damage, or take a lot of damage. Sorry. The Ju-88Ss coming in with those bombs. They have the potential to kill off these Hellcats with bombs, and you can see that's exactly what happens. 2 of them get killed off, and the Lightnings aren't able to return the kills. Now I've got a Seafire in, starting to really purchase as many of my aircraft as I can, as this is becoming quite a desperate defense. But we balled up here. Off map would be perfect at this point from the opponent, but whether or not they have any remains to be seen. They're just kind of relying on these bombers at the moment, and the fact that we have a lot of AA is definitely helping. So Ju-88 coming in. That's going to actually be dropping its bombs onto the M18 Hellcats. I do lose a Spitfire, but I shoot down the Ju-88S. I do lose a 17 pounder as well to that bombing strike. But another ME-109 G6R6 goes down there to the anti-air. And yeah, this is just absolutely crazy. Another Seafire going to be brought in. That's now going to be brought out to the right side. I'm going to swing it over to the left and catch onto the back of the Ju-88S. And then go straight on to the Focke-Wulf 190 A8BR21. So really well timed Seafire there, and knowing the way in which like planes automatically evac is always ideal for pathing your planes in advance, especially if it's close to your air spawn. So in this case, you saw me swinging out to the right here on purpose because I know that they swing out to the left, and it allows me to sort of swing in like you saw my Seafire do and keep a decent distance to not overshoot the targets that they're firing at. Because especially with things like Mustangs, it really can be an issue because they tend to fly faster than the thing they're firing, and therefore won't kill them in one pass, and generally that means that the opposing aircraft will get away. So yeah, not much movement on this right side, as you can see. Just again taking it easy, really focusing on my strengths in Phase C, which is just the ability to bring in a lot of stuff. A lot of Air Force, you know, a lot of AT guns in this case, you know, my AA, the Dingoes. It didn't take me very long at all to bring in all of these forces because my income was so damn good. Now I'm going to be bringing in the bombers once again. That's going to be 2 25 HE power Hellcats. Bombs away, boys. That is one dead King Tiger. Tell you what, Sierra wasn't happy about that. But it can be done, and for those of you who don't know, it's a good thing to know that HE bombs can kill tanks, even King Tigers. And I think the main reason that found the kill there was because some of the bombs landed and potentially like blew out the side armor. But yeah, every unit has like an invisible health stat that over time, you know, you can bomb out these big tanks just by the sheer amount of bombs that you put on them. It's quite a lot for something like a King Tiger, but you could see the amount of bombing strikes we already put on it. So there you go. I couldn't tell you the exact statistics for that health stuff, but it's definitely in the game to allow you to sort of bomb stuff to death, which I guess would make sense. If somebody kept dropping like 500 kilogram bombs on your tank, eventually you'd probably get out, or take some damage at least. But yeah, these tanks still trying to advance, but in the face of like so many AT guns and Hellcats, it's definitely been difficult for them. But the Hellcats slowly but surely being taken out, that's for sure. P-38 Lightning's now coming in from Dencraft, going to try and take out this ME-109. They're going to be forced to fall back though, and they're not very strong aircraft. Got to be very careful to not take too much anti-air fire. You can see one going down there purely to the anti-air. On the right side here, that's going to be a Panzerhaubitze. Lorraine manages to take out a Hellcat. This Hellcat goes down as well. That was probably to the Pack 40 there. But Focke-Wulf 190, that's going to be flying overhead. It's now an M16 MC in the mix alongside both of the Bofors. So definitely helping out. But yeah, we're starting to obviously lose units slowly but surely. But we've held back long enough for it not to matter too much. And another Seafire going to be coming in there, taking out the Ju-88S. Really good stuff. Lau's going to be coming in for an attack. And so is Ciara with the Focke-Wulf 190, but going to get forced to fall back by the AA. And I micro the Seafires nicely, get some more kills there. So, yeah, really nice stuff. I took advantage of my Phase A in the forest, and then I was able to take advantage of my Air Force AT guns and all of the sort of support stuff that I have in Phase C on this left side. Now there's only 1 minute and 25 seconds left on the map, so I was pretty confident that we'd found the victory by now. You know, we're not at a +1, the Axis are, but we've got ourselves 1,723 kills in the process, or 23 points in the process. So there we go. You can see a lot of my infantry here now being killed off by more Nebelwerfer strikes. I am trying to sort of counterplay this a little bit, but it's not really my priority. The main priority is just to hold back things on this left side. So just more 17 pounders coming in for more fun. Although, you know, the game is pretty much already over. And here comes a bunch of bombing strikes. Just going to try and bomb out some of these Panzer IVs. Even bring in the Wildcats at this point. And that's going to force back all of those, the Panzer IVs and the Stugs there. Take a little bit of pressure off Mountain High. Maybe stop him from losing a few more units before the end of the game.
Yes, sir.
Gonna be swinging that 17 pounder out. M3 half track getting burnt out by Stern Pioneers there. But yeah, I really sort of enjoyed this game, just investing in all of my Sherman 5s at the end here, just try and take advantage of those bombers. But yeah, I thought this was a really nice sort of demonstration of the uses of the first SSB. Obviously early on, really just smashing through the forest was great, and then later on making use of the support units like 17 pounders, AA, and then of course my Air Force in the late game really, you know, came out on top. And yeah, I honestly think this division could be very, very strong in 1v1. Like for that Phase A, you just got to be careful around that Phase B sort of area and into the late game, where your infantry availability can really make you change the way you play the game. Like swinging over to like an air focus definitely is something you would need to do, but could be quite easily countered. So yeah, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see it played. I'm not sure if it will be like super effective or whatever, but I'd really like to see it in competitive play if we could. Maybe somebody will take up the mantle. But after that, 3,155 kills to 2,105 losses. Jagdsor's doing well on my right flank with the 101st. Dencraft probably, well, dropping the ball here and there, but not too bad. And Mountain High held as long as he could on that left side in the face of all of those Panthers and so on. On the opposing side, Sora really needs to stop like just move commanding the infantry, because that got a lot of them killed. But other than that, did well to hold me back with the Nebelwerfers and stuff. That was pretty ridiculous. Also the off-mat that came in was just really difficult to deal with. Ciara holding the line across the board as well. Crazy, crazy stuff. Let's have a look at some of these kills, shall we? Commando assaults. Beautiful, beautiful squads. But not trading with the pioneers. Absolutely crazy. 3 squads of pioneers. Panzergren, Stosstroop and Panzerschreck. Nuts. This Humber Mark III, showing what he's made of. Taking out a Pak 43 and a Panzer IV-G. That's some pretty fantastic kills there. We saw the Commando Attack Busters take out some Luftwaffejäger. This Seafire, look at those kills. 2 Ju-88Ss, a Focke-Wulf 190, and another Focke-Wulf 190A there. One with the rockets though, one without. And this Hellcat scored the bombing strike onto the Königstiger. In terms of losses, yep, 210mm off map early on. Pioneer squads really came in strong and started to do a lot of damage. Of course, the Nebelwerfers and the Wiederfachwerfers did as well. Panzer IV-G cleaned up my Sherman II and Humber Mark III when they were forced to fall back from the strikes. And yeah, Panthers and so on took out the 17-pounders at the end, or towards the end. And there's even a Verframmen coming in there. Wow. But yeah, an interesting game and an interesting look at the first SSB. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.